Well, it's a good afternoon to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on Friday afternoon. It's a bit early, so there's probably not a lot of you watching. So I'm sure there'll be people sort of coming on as soon as they see the West Ham Voice live. Fingers crossed. Otherwise, I'm going to be talking to myself. Well, talking to myself and my special guest who's coming on in a minute. There's an awful lot to talk about. A hell of a lot to talk about. Obviously, we're going to try and talk about the game. There is actually a match happening on this coming weekend. But it's been overshadowed, hasn't it, with an awful lot of noise going around, things like boycotts, the marches, managers apparently being lined up to replace Graham Potter, supposed foreign investors being shown around Rush Green. I wonder what they thought of the porter cabins, in the hope that they may buy the gold shares into the club. It's a surprise we've got any time to discuss what is actually happening on the field of play. Now, there have apparently been photos. Apparently, they've been corroborated, and I've got to credit Hammers Bites for I nicked your photos from your Twitter account. It looks as if, like Nuno was in or around the area where David Sullivan lives. I don't know where it is. My guest knows. I'm not an East London boy, am I? So how would I know? But we don't know. Look. One thing we're certain of is that West Ham have asked mediators, intermediaries, not mediators, intermediaries, to put together a list of managers that the club can speak to, just in case things go a little bit awry with the game against Crystal Palace this coming weekend. Now, is it last chance saloon for Graham Potter? I'm going to speak about that with my guest as well. Now, it's my understanding, however, that Nuno has been demanding to take control of transfers. And if that's the case, what's going to happen? We're going to end up being in the same boat as we were under Pellegrini, under Lopetegui, kind of, under David Moyes, etc., where every manager we have wants to have a say in the transfer market, which means that they'll get players in that suit them rather than us having a strategy. And that's one of the things that the process is about the governance of the club, about how we go forward in a proper manner, rather than allowing managers to come in, they pick players at their whim, and then when those managers leave, we're left with what we've been left with after David Moyes, players that don't fit a system, players that are too old, players on long-term contracts, etc. So I don't know if Nuno's already done himself out of a job, but it is apparently true that Nuno was seen or spotted near. But another thing, why would Nuno and Sullivan dare to be seen in public in the broad daylight a day before the game against Crystal Palace? I don't know. What do you think of it? Let's bring our guest on. Maybe he has a better insight than I do. You've met him before. Always a live wire. Ronnie, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad.
Should we start with that? I mean, we will talk about the game at some point today. But should we start with let's start with these managers that have been approached, and then we're going to talk about the protests, and then that'll lead us into the game. What's your take? I mean, there's been more managers thrown our way. This happens all the time. When the shit's hitting the fan, we know damn well that a list of managers, all unemployed, of course, that's par for the course. A list of managers are highlighted as being potential replacements. And we've seen this happen before. If you remember, we saw Potter being talked to by Steiden back then when Lopetegui was in trouble. Do you remember that photo that came up? They were in an hotel. And now apparently Nuno. What's your take?
It's the same old circle, isn't it? We're going around in the same old circle. Nothing's changing. We're doing the same mistakes that we made before. We're going to end up in the same position. Go and get a manager. He's free. You know, if he's free, he can't be that good. Let's be honest. Yeah. If you've got a manager that's free, if you got a manager that's free, you've got to go for the best manager, not for the manager, not the cheapest manager or the manager you say has got knows the division, because it's short term. You're getting that manager to save you, and then the next year, and at the end of that, when the transfer window comes, he's going to want to buy a load of. How many changes are we going to have? He's going to want to buy a load of players. bring a load of new players in, get rid of players we've just bought, lose money. Yeah, it's the same circle, right? There's no strategy. There's nothing. There's no thought in it. You with me? And it's the same, making the same mistakes over and over again.
That's the concern, isn't it, mate? You know, the concern.
That being said,
Yeah.
we do need a new manager. We need maybe, but maybe we don't need a new manager. You know my thoughts. My thoughts is always we need a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a manager person. I don't believe managers are what we need, because if you're a manager, you're going to want to do things your way. You're going to want to get your people that you want to get in, and you're going to want to change your structure. If that is the case, every single manager we get is different. And let me tell you, if we get Nuno, I'll be crying like a baby because he's 27% possession. You with me? We're actually going back. We're going back to Moyes days.
It's back to Moyes ball.
Moyes days, yeah.
Well, that means in 2 years' time we'll be celebrating in Europe.
Yeah, but we'll be bored as fuck. We'll be bored. I went to, as you know, we went there, right? We went, but we were bored as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but we were enjoying ourselves far too much to worry about being bored. But no, I get you, mate. I honestly do. Nuno, it will be a David Moyes number 2, but this is what the board does, isn't it? You know, and this is why, you know, we're going to talk about the protests in a minute, but this is why that there is such discontent with, you know, it's funny, Ronnie, because when you speak to certain people, they go, you know what, if the results are good, this will all be forgotten about, protests, etc. But as you were saying to me offline just before we came on, this isn't about results, is it? This is more than results. We've never been a results-driven football team.
Never. If you're a West Ham supporter, you ain't a West Ham supporter because you're winning loads of matches. You're a West Ham supporter because you're either born into it, yeah, you've adopted it because you like the ethos of the people and the fans around you, and that's basically it. I can't think of any other way. It's inherited from your parents or whatever. So we've not really been, we're not glory hunters, are we? So results are, you know, well, maybe we've got some glory hunters coming in, or people who are of that ilk, yeah. But
soon learned, haven't they, that that's not the case.
Well, when the results go bad, if you've got that type of person, you don't want. I'm not going to run down any supporter, but that kind of supporter is like, you know, like you see the guy in the Chelsea shirt one week, and then the next week he's in the Arsenal shirt, you know. And we don't really want to be going down that road. We want, like, so winning is important to win, but I think more it's about the playing, how you play, and then, you know, and then how you win, if you understand what I mean. So winning loads of games. In fact, I can't remember the time we won loads of games. Even when we went to the final of the Conference League, we didn't win many games, did we?
No, we didn't. We didn't. And you're absolutely right. It isn't about the, you know, I think people are confused, and I think the press have actually finally cottoned on that this isn't about, do you remember what all this stuff about what you're complaining about, what you're complaining for, et cetera, because they kept saying you've never had it so good, 3 years in Europe, blah, blah, blah. What is it you expect? And they didn't get it. Now I think the penny has finally dropped. When you strip away the European stuff, you know, the penny has finally dropped. And I won't lie to you, Ronnie. I won't lie, mate. And I think I've spoken to you about this offline when we met up, etc. I've always been quite skeptical about the whole protest stuff, etc. I've always said, and I said it to you earlier on, just before we came online, I've always said, when we start going on about sack the board, you know, that doesn't ring with me, because they own the club. But as you quite rightly explain, I'll let you explain it again. You know, this is more about, it's not about sacking them. It's not about getting them to resign and walking away.
I don't think, I mean, we all, they do say sack the board, but I don't think exactly that's what the fans board has put in. They've said they want them to resign from the board and put proper people in place. Yeah. So they're not, you know, they're not going to leave. They're still going to have their percentage of, you know, of West Ham. They're just not going to be interfering in, you know, in the way that the club is run. And proper people will be put in place to run the club. You with me? And a lot of people do say, what's the point of protesting? Right? Well, we've seen the point of protesting already. They put they put a crap statement out, yeah, which is absolutely rubbish. Anybody who's read that must have thought, you know, in their right mind, who's got any intelligence, must have thought, what the? You with me?
They shot themselves in the foot with that, didn't they?
100%, yeah. But protest is important because, number one, If we don't keep reminding them, yeah, that we ain't going to take these decisions, right? They'll just keep making these decisions, yeah. And number two, they don't like being in the media. They don't like the media when the media comes on them. So doing this, protest is bringing the media. As you say, the media is understanding now. Some of them, but the media will be quick to change if we don't go ahead with this process, and if we're not strong in this protest. Yeah, we're West Ham United, so let's show in this protest, right? That it's not just a few moaners online, right? It's all of us standing together, right, to say we want our West Ham identity. We want that identity. We want the identity that we know about West Ham. We want West Ham back. You get me? So, if we're putting that out, that's hard to ignore. And we might. All right, you say that they're not going to leave, but we might get some influence. We can see influence happening now. Do you understand? They're still on the back foot, and they're still giving us the same old spill, but they're giving us something. So that means they're being affected by putting out the statement. That shows that they are being affected. You with me? Because they didn't put out a statement.
My feeling is this. My feeling is that Sullivan's not selling up unless it's right for him to do so. So no amount of, and this is the difference. That's why it was really important. When I spoke to Paul Colburn the other day, I interviewed him, and I've spoken to him before about this. I said, language is really, really important. The way you're phrasing things is absolutely crucial, because if they keep hearing sack the board, they're going to go, I'm not interested.
But what didn't the fan letter, or the letter that was given to them, the statement was made, was said that they had no confidence in them.
That's correct.
No confidence, and they wanted them to step down.
That's correct.
Right? Yeah. Now, stepping down don't mean you leave and sell the club. Stepping down means you just get the hell out of the boardroom. Making these decisions, these absolutely atrocious decisions, year in, year out, right?
Yeah.
Really, listen, West Ham, right? I'm not being funny, yeah? Look how many these little clubs are all overtaking us because they're making good decisions, and they've got a way of making their decisions, and we've got two clowns at the top there who don't even know that they're making. The thing about it, I do think that they're making.
Oh, they truly believe. They truly believe that they've done a great job. The statement to the fans was another ego blow, an egotistical movement by Brady. When I spoke to a certain someone that we both know, he said that's got Brady's fingerprints all over it. It was clear that it was Brady that had written that, or certainly contributed quite a lot. And it was an ego massage. Yet again, it was all about, look what we've done for you. Look why you not grateful. Look at everything we've done. It
was almost like her interview, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the TalkSport interview. Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing. They're not getting that. They're not understanding it. And what I did a show about this yesterday, and I said, look, the reason why there's such a difference in language, I was talking about the letter of no confidence that was provided, and I said that letter of no confidence was coming from the heart. It was an urgency about, we need to fix this club, etc. And the response has been very much transactional. The response has been, quite kind of like, don't forget what we've done. But we've done this, and that's the difference, isn't it? And with the greatest of respect to them, the difference is we're fans, we're real fans, and they're not.
The response was basically a load of mistruth, yeah, and as everybody said, a load of gaslighting, and they were patronising us, right? And rather than saying, okay, put our hands up, you've got points, right? Maybe we have done some things good, right? But maybe we have done things bad. You mean, and stepping back and saying, all right, let's see what we have done good. Let's see what we have done bad. I'm sick of it. You with me? Because it's like oh yeah, we've done everything. We're wonderful. We're really great. No, you're not. You're not really great. Bournemouth are really great. Brighton are really great. The people who run them, yeah. Actually, they're not even really great. They're just normal. You understand?
Yeah, because there's a counter argument to that. Because if you say to the board, oh, why can't we run like Bournemouth or Brighton or Fulham or whatever? they'll turn around easily. See, they can pick things off. They're clever at this. They'll turn around and go, well, when was the last time they won a trophy? That's what they'll say. And that's why the language is really, really important.
Well, then, don't tell me that we've been in the league for 14 years or 15 years or 100 million years. Yeah. Because I say to you, well, they've been above us every season.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're above us. They came in after us and they have gone above us in the league.
They're more stable. They're more stable.
Yeah.
And they're also able to compete in the transfer window. You know, when you see the likes of Bournemouth, etc., and Brighton spending a hell of a lot of money, and we're struggling because of PSR, but that is down to the governance. That's down to our bad decision making over the years.
Bad decision making. Even you say, oh, we spent 450,000. Yeah, you spent 450 million, sorry, on crap.
Well, this is, or on the whim of, and this is how the conversation started, on the whim of the manager that's in at the time. Yeah. So we know David Moyes brought James Ward-Prowse. Lopetegui brought in Max Kilman. You know, and
probably.
And there's the problem. It's a perpetual, you know, the manager goes, I want this player. So if we had a proper, and I know what Sullivan will say. Sullivan will turn around and go, well, we've tried the director of football. It didn't work. Well, of course it doesn't work when you're interfering. Yeah. You know, if we look at last summer, not the summer that's just gone, but last summer, where we were led to believe there were 3 parties involved in transfers. There was Steiden, there was Lopetegui, and then there was Sullivan. And you look at the players that we bought last summer, and you can identify who's bought who, instead of it being, you know, and it's all a mishmash. That's why we have a mishmash. That happened with Moyes and Steiden the year before, when Moyes, you know, Steiden came in and persuaded the likes of, I'm not saying he found them, but persuaded the likes of Kudus to come in and Alvarez, etc. And what does David Moyes do? I want James Ward-Prowse. You know, yet again, you've got a mishmash.
This is the irony of it. We haven't even got anyone to persuade anyone to come to us now.
Yeah.
Because if you're counting on Brady and Sullivan going in and persuading a player to come to us, forget about it. Yeah. They're not going to persuade top level players. If any other team comes in, I think their persuasion might be a little bit better than ours. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, why are you boasting? You're boasting basically and saying in your boast, we are crap. That's what you're boasting. You're boasting about how crap you are. Yeah. Yeah. You had a good. You lifted a cup, and you came in the top 6 for 3 seasons, right? In 15 years. Yeah. Yeah. But let's be honest, that was down to Moyes. Yeah. And the brand of football he played, and COVID and all that kind of stuff, rather than the board. Yeah. When we moved into the Olympic Stadium and they made all these pledges, yeah, the Conference League didn't even exist. So don't go about, oh, we won the Conference League, blah, 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 we've done this, we've done that. Because even by your pledges, that competition didn't even exist. So, you know, it's a load of... their statement was terrible, yeah.
It was bad. It was bad.
You know.
So moving forward then, I mean, with all these names that are being bandied around, do you have an ideal manager? Like, it's got to be unemployed, of course, because we ain't going to get anyone that's employed. Do you have an ideal manager that you want to see in? Nuno, we know, will be a rehash of Moyes, you know. I don't know, it might be a bit more exciting. He seemed to get the Nottingham Forest team to play good football, counter-attacking football. But is there anyone that I mean, there's Bilic, there's Nuno, there's O'Neill, there are 1 or 2 others. Is there one that you would pick out of all of them?
It's the same thing. It's not the manager, it's a system. So even if I look at all these managers, I might fancy them as coaches if they can prove they can be coaches. Yeah. And if you're going to be going for managers, why are you going for these type of managers? You have to go for a completely different manager. You have to go for a manager that's completely different. And that means taking a chance. You with me? And if you're taking a chance, then it could go basically tits up. You with me? So all the managers out there, it doesn't matter who they get in, right? Unless they change the system and go to a proper system, we're going to have the same old problems. The manager will come in, he'll tell us about how he likes playing youth. because like they all do. He'll come in and say about how he's going to have us playing in a certain way. Yeah, except for Nuno. Nuno, we know how Nuno plays. Yeah, he'll come in and give us the world, and then we'll sit down and we'll watch a bloody load of crap like we've been watching for the last couple of years. And not because the manager, we know that manager's crap. We know that manager's going to be like that, but because they've gone for that option of getting the cheapo, yeah. They've got the cheapo, so they've gone down, got the cheapo. It's going to break, yeah, at some point. And you're gonna. It's like getting an old car. It's like getting an old car, right? That isn't a classic, yeah. And you're gonna be spending money on that car. You're gonna be fixing things on that car. You might even break down in that car, yeah. So you might as well just, for all the money you're spending, if you can, you might as well just get a new car.
In the first place. Yeah. I did a survey online. I said, who do you want to replace Potter? And I offered Nuno, Bilic, O'Neill, or other.
Bilic would have won hands down.
Well, the top answer was other. With Nuno and Bilic being very close together, and then O'Neill being way down. So people, I think, are more or less saying what you're saying. They don't want Nuno, they don't want Bilic, they want someone else. Now I will ask, I didn't get a chance to ask the question who, but I'm sure there's going to be comment. When I come to your comments, I promise you guys.
There is a good manager out there. What's his name? The Barcelona manager. He ain't got a job.
Xavi. There's no way on earth.
He won't know. If he came to us and then they said they were going to put a structure in place, I think there would be something about that. But there's no, imagine him going, right? And he's going to be asking questions. And Sullivan, like, he's asking Sullivan, what are you offering? And Sullivan ain't going to employ him, because Sullivan wants to ask them questions, Oh, are you going to take the flak when we go, when it goes wrong? Can I throw you under the bus at some time? You with me?
Yeah.
So and if Bilic comes back to West Ham after the way that they treated him, I'm sorry, I've got a little bit of lack of respect for him. He's just come for money, mate. You with me?
Well, yeah, he'll come and say it's because of the love of the club, but
Yeah, nah. Listen, he went to Everton, right? I don't care what anyone says. I was upset, right? Oh, he saved us from relegation. What is he, Sullivan? You with me? He didn't save us from relegation. He got paid, played football. Everton came in and he went, yeah, all right, I'm going to Everton.
Yeah,
stop it. Did. And I told you what he did to me in Greece, yeah? So
yeah, you did, yeah. Right, let's move on to the we've talked about the demonstrations, we've talked about the protests, etc. You've seen what the vote of no confidence letter has been all about, like we've already mentioned, about the governance of the club, about the approach, how the club is run, etc. And you've quite rightly pointed out this isn't about results. This is about the true culture of the club. And one of the things I said, in the response to that the statement that was put out on the West Ham on the official website is that the vote of no confidence has come from fans. There's an emotion about it. The vote of no confidence has come as an emotional thing, but in a very business-like way. I'm actually quite impressed with what the WHUIC, FAB, Hammers United have done, because they put a structure. They've taken the emotion out of one side. They're still fans. They're talking like fans, but they've managed to take the emotion away and look at it from a really sort of a clear perspective as to what they expect the board to do. But the board reply has been quite cold, isn't it? It's been quite distant. As we've already said. What do you hope or expect to get out of these protests as a fan?
As a fan, right? Number one, we should always protest if it doesn't go right. We have to protest, you and me, and we have to, like I said at the start, the main things is we have to make the board accountable. Yeah. Even if they don't want to be accountable, we have to make them accountable. Otherwise, that's the whole point of protesting. Yeah. So remind them that we are West Ham fans. And the other thing about customers, yeah, this is what makes me laugh. They want to call us customers. Yeah. Well, I worked in one time in a play, in that kind of environment where you had customers, and the first rule of customers is the customer is always right.
Mm-hmm.
So if a customer is telling you these things, you're supposed to look at them, you're supposed to fix them, and you're supposed to do what you can to fix them. In this, it's things have changed.
Yeah.
These people are sitting at the top, yeah, and they've got people underneath, customers they're calling us. I think we're stakeholders because I think we're emotionally, emotionally we're in West Ham. I mean, you go away, West Ham affects your life. You with me? You're a stakeholder, you're not a customer. But even if we were a customer, why aren't you listening to the customer? Yeah, doing what the customer wants. Yeah, in whatever way in whatever way you can, and pleasing that customer. Because at the end of the day, you ain't gonna have no customers, are you?
Yeah, carry
if
on
you
this
don't.
way.
So,
Absolutely.
but with the, like I said before about protest, right? The thing about protest is we're reminding them, yeah, that we won't just listen to them, yeah, while they chip away at the traditions of the club, the finances, and how we compete, yeah. We ain't gonna, we're gonna make by having protest, we make the media come into it, and then the media, they don't like the media. They don't like the media being against them. I mean, the ridiculousness of, oh, you ain't on my side, so I'm not going to talk to you. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
That's like a 4-year-old child. You with me?
Throwing your toys out the pram.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So and the other thing is, we're West Ham United. I keep saying it. Yeah. So we got to show that it's not just a few people like myself moaning online and a few people saying things online. There's thousands of us together, right? Standing together for West Ham. You with me? For our West Ham. Yeah? And let's see if they try and ignore that. Yeah? It's hard to ignore.
Yeah,
and,
it is hard, especially with mainstream media now realizing, getting behind it and realizing just what this is all about. This isn't protests about results. We as you've said and as I've said and what we've lived through, us getting results, us being we're not trying to be the next Liverpool, Barcelona, Real Madrid, or what have you. We know what we know where we stand in the world of football. We of course we'd love to go on Champions League run after run after run. Of course we would. We're not going to turn that down, but we're not.
I'd rather win an FA Cup or a League Cup, mate.
Well, I'd rather I get you. Yeah. But we're realistic here. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is, it's about the way the clubs run. It's not about the glory. Many fans say, oh, the minute the results start getting better, things are going to go away. Now, there's a good argument for that. If you look at when we were in Europe for 3 seasons, there weren't that much complaining then. But
complaining all the time. What are you talking about?
Well, you might have moaned in the back. What I'm trying to say is it wasn't as prominent then as it is now. So it ain't just about the results. It is about the way the clubs run.
Let me tell you something, yeah.
Go on.
Every match that I went to, and I looked around for Gary Imons and Ivory and all them, they'd all gone down the pub. Every match. So you tell me that they'd rather go down the pub than put up with watching the rubbish that we was winning, even though we was winning. So for some people, it is about the whole entertainment. It's about enjoying it. Even when you was there and you was winning, come on, you were sitting there thinking, God, this is crap. And then
there were times.
You're getting there. You with me?
Yeah, there were times when you'd be sitting there going, we ain't made an attack yet, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, one attack and we've won the game. Yeah. So yeah.
So it was that just one moment in a match. You're
not on the edge of the last time I was on the edge of my seat, and here's the irony, because we're going to talk about Potter in a minute. The last time I was on the edge of my seat was the first game he was in charge away to Aston Villa in the FA Cup. When we went there and we thought, wow, hang on a minute, Potter's here. Look what he's doing. That lasted one game.
One game.
And what happened then? I mean, it's odd, isn't it? Let's get into that because look, we know that the protest is going to happen on Saturday. There's going to be a march. There's
Be
going to
there,
be
guys. All of you, get down there. Yeah, look. Lies, lies, lies.
I like that T-shirt. There's going to be the Crossed Hammers who are meeting from Stratford Station. I think I could be wrong.
There'll be two places they're meeting. But basically, you have to get to the gate by 12:45. I think some people are meeting at the Carpenters at 10:30 for the early birds. Bubbles did say 10:30 at the. But I think the main thing. Let me just double check. 'Cause I don't want to send anybody to the wrong place. There is a lot of information going around, and if we are going to be doing this, we need to make sure that we're all going to the right places. So there is a something here out here, which I'll just double check to see where we're supposed to be. Because the worst thing is that we all scattered all over the place, and but get down to Marshgate, because that's the main place. That's where they come in and they drive up to the station. I think there's some people said meet at Pudding Mill Lane. But I'll have a look through here and I'll let you know by the end. I'll double check. There is something that's gone out.
So there is a march tomorrow. Crossed Hammers are doing one. Hammers United are doing one. But the main point is they're going to meet at the gate by 12:45, where the board arrive. So that's going to happen. And then, of course, there's the planned boycotting of the Brentford game in a couple of weeks' time as well. It's a televised game, a Monday night game. So, if people want to support this, then, get down as Ronnie will give you the details at the end and support it. Right, mate. There is a game tomorrow. There is a game on. And it's quite important and important for quite a lot of reasons, really. If you look at what's riding on this, it's not only going to define our season, because Crystal Palace are a good team. It could define the rest of our season. It could define Graham Potter's season as well. And there's no denying it. We've been going through a rough patch for longer than we care to remember. The Spurs defeat last week was probably one of the worst I experienced, when we just didn't turn up for, our closest rivals in the Premier League. We did all right until half time, and then we just collapsed. We're in the relegation zone, and we've got defensive frailties, haven't we? We got Souček missing, which I'm not altogether that upset about. I don't know how you feel about Souček missing the next 3 games.
Well, I would have preferred James Ward-Prowse would have got the card, but
I think a lot of people feel the same. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it all concerns who he puts in his place.
Well, I'm hoping I'm going to come to the team news in a minute, because I'm hoping that I'm going to show you the team I want and the team what I think Potter will pick. But this is a big deal for Potter. Do you think? Look, 26.32% win ratio,
pathetic,
which is only worse with Avram Grant, and we all know what happened when Avram Grant was in charge. He took us down. If we lose tomorrow, do you think Potter can survive another defeat?
Well, I'll be very surprised if he does. And if he does, then it's madness. Let's be honest, right? He's making some really bad decisions. It's like he's a little bit out of his depth. You with me? I've been very surprised. No, I've not been very surprised, because I heard a lot of people saying, I watched him last season and I thought, well, he ain't really got a clue. And then I heard people saying, you heard me, I argued against this. Why should we be saying, let him get his players, blah, blah, blah. But you're a coach. You had time to work with a group of players that I'm sure some coach out there would get them to do a tune. And you've not been able to do it for 6-7 months. What kind of coach are you? Don't give me the thing about, he needs his players. Why does he need his players? He's got players. Is he a coach? He's got players. Use the players that you've got and play them to your strengths. Play the proper players. Put them on the pitch, right? Give people chances, yeah, and and have a go. But he's not doing that, is he?
He's not, because look, this is the team. This is my team. This is what I like to see on Saturday. So I want a replacement for goalie. And I know a lot of people are talking about Fabianski and that he played for the under-21s the other day, and maybe that was warming him up, to have him back in the starting lineup. That's very, very possible. This is what I would do. I don't. You can tear it apart, mate, if you want, but I would go for Areola back in goal. In defence, I'd drop Kilman completely because I just don't think. I think he's a £40 million failure. And I'll put Igor in there only because we don't have another left-footed centre-back apart from Igor. And then drop Ward-Prowse altogether and put Magassa in there, who looked really good last week, actually, when he came on in the second half against Spurs. And have either side of him Paqueta and Fernandes. And then have Somerville and Bowen either side of Wilson. Start with a striker. Go on, tear it apart. Tell me what's wrong with that lineup.
Well, it looks decent. I'm not too sure about either because the fact that we're conceding headers, and I saw a stat that he never won a header in his life. Yeah, so that's a bit worrying.
Who's that? Sorry,
Igor's never won a header in his life.
He's never won a header in his life.
No, it's not. He's heading. He's like minus 99%.
Well, he's coming out of my team then.
Yeah.
The reason why I put him in there because I thought he'd be more competitive.
No, he's good on the floor probably, and he's good at tackling, and he's a bit robust. But I'm sure somebody said he'd never won a header in his life. He's terrible at heading.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, it's true. It's they brought up these stats. I saw one of these podcasts. They brought up these stats, and I thought, what? He was minus 99%. He'd won one header in 1% of his headers he wins.
Well, he ain't going to save us then from zonal marking when they start
peppering
yeah. Okay, so there's one I've got wrong there. What about the goalie? What about Areola?
At the three that we've got, he's probably the best choice. Yeah, Fab. Fab is old, isn't he? So he's decent.
What do you think of bringing Fabianski back? Because if Fabianski starts tomorrow, that means curtains for Areola completely, doesn't mean it means he's off in the January.
Oh yeah, that he might be off in January. He might be. I mean, if I was him, I'd want to be off. Yeah, because you're bringing in a goalkeeper who's apparently good with his feet, and he's just doing long balls to the left and to the right.
Yeah, this is the irony. He's doing long balls.
And he's rubbish, and he keeps on letting goals in. Like, he flaps. Yeah.
He's not tall enough. And I said this the other day. I said he's not tall enough. Someone said, well, how tall have you got to be? I said, taller than what he is. He's a small keeper.
It would help if his arms. It would help if his arms were a bit longer as well. So you with me?
Yeah.
No good having these short little arms. Goal. You've got 2-inch arms, is it? God, you ain't gonna save anything. But I've been behind the goal a couple of times when he's letting goals. He's very good. He's done a couple of really good saves, like low down, yeah, which were excellent. But up in the air, and I'd be lobbing him all the time if I was playing.
Well, this is it. He's renowned for being weak at being lobbed. He's not good at that. So, all right, goalie we seem to agree on. You've given me a good reason why Igor shouldn't be in the back.
Yeah, I mean, you might want to check them stats, but they're the stats that I saw. Yeah,
I'm going to. I'm shocked.
Yeah, the stats I said, because I thought when I looked, I thought, let me go and check up on him, and the heading thing came up, and I thought, well, why have we got someone who is very bad at heading the ball when we're letting a lot of goals in due to heading? In fact, Kilman's heading stats are probably better than Igor's.
You've got an admirer, Vince Thurnell. I know the surname. Likes you, talks a lot of sense. He says, "Is that Wayne? Has he got a brother called Vince?"
Vince.
What about midfield? So I've taken. We know what's going to. I'm going to show you Potter's lineup in a minute.
I don't.
I've gone for Magassa. I really like what I saw of Magassa when he came on at in the second half against Tottenham Hotspur last week. I liked him. I liked the way he looked. I liked the way he played. He looked like he got his foot stuck in there. He looked quite controlled. So I'm giving him that. I know it won't start, but this is what I would do. And then having either side of him, having Fernandes and Paqueta. What would you think of that?
I think it's a decent looking midfield, yeah, when they're all confident. But our team's fragile. Our team's really fragile. You and me. That would be a good, decent team. That would be a decent midfield for most teams, yeah. But not with a fragile team. We need people that are going to kick people 600 feet in the air at the moment.
Yeah.
People are going to get proper stuck in. To be fair, Paqueta gets stuck in. Magassa looks like he gets stuck in, but is he get his foot in the way, or is he I'm going to clatter that guy so he goes 20 foot up in the air? That's what we need, a couple of them in the midfield. And Fernandez is good with the ball and without the ball. So I think it's just, if that midfield can be confident, it's a good midfield. But if the rest of the team, the only thing I worry about that Magassa, yes, he can protect the back line, but the other two are really just more. I like to see them carry the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Paqueta, who's not really defensive minded, although he plays deep, but that doesn't make him defensive minded. He does, but he loses the ball a lot as well.
Yeah, that's when he's got it, but when he hasn't got it, he gets stuck in. So he is quite defensive good. The only problem with Paqueta is sometimes he'll be in his own half in a bad area, and this is his only flaw. He'll be Paqueta. So he'll do a flick, or he'll try and do some like in the wrong area. That's the only criticism I've got of Paqueta. Apart from that, he's a brilliant player.
Yeah. And then
so I'd put Paqueta as far up as I can, for the fact that I would want him up the front, maybe closing down people, because he can tackle, maybe closing down.
Supporting Wilson up front or something like that.
Yeah. I'd have him more forward.
And then Fernandez, I've got to be honest, I still maintain it. I think we pay too much for him. But so far, he's impressed me. You know, he's looked good. He's the box-to-box midfielder that we haven't had for quite a while. And I think he'll get better. I don't know what you make of him.
He looks decent. He didn't have a super great game against Tottenham. I'm a bit worried about his size, because as a box-to-box midfielder, I like tough, 6 foot, strong geezers who are going to put their foot in your head at some point. You with me? As a box-to-box. But I would have liked Conor Gallagher, funny enough, as a box-to-box midfielder, but we didn't get him. But I think he's good enough. He's young, so he hopefully will only get better. But he needs to be in a team that's winning to get better. When you're in a team, he's so used to losing. Yeah, does that make him a loser?
Yeah. And what about the three up front? So Bowen, Somerville supporting. Let's start with a striker tomorrow.
Well, who wouldn't want that? Look at that forward line. That is who wouldn't want that forward line?
It's good, isn't it?
This is a good forward line. And when you have a good forward line, your emphasis should be getting the ball to the forwards. Yeah? Getting that geezer on the left wing down to throw the crossing, not sitting back and doing what we're doing. I don't think we're progressive enough during the games. You with me? But the team's decent you got there. I would like that team.
And then on the bench, I brought in Mahamadou Kante, who's doing wonders in the under-21s. And I've actually dropped the likes of Kilman, Irving, Rodriguez completely out of the squad completely. But here is, and I think Kante is a very interesting player, because we didn't know much about him. Now, this is the legacy that Tim Steidten has left us. He went and bought Kante last summer. Kante was then kept at Paris FC, and because of changes in the ownership of Paris FC, he didn't get a lot of game time. The idea was that he would have game time at Paris FC, build up his confidence, etc., in order to come to us, and he didn't get a lot of game time. So he's come back, or he's come to West Ham now. He's playing in the under-21s, and I've got to be honest, I'm liking what I see. I don't know if you've seen anything of the under-21s.
I've seen a couple of matches to the under-21s, but I know they played against some of the like the league teams, lower league teams, but you got to remember it is the under-21s. But funny enough, when the under-21s the other day stuffed MK Dons,
yeah.
Yeah, we could probably throw that midfield in there, do better than the midfield that we've been running lately.
They look lively. They look sprightly.
Yeah,
They look
they
full
were
of
playing.
energy.
Do you remember in pre-season when he had Fearon, Potts,
Yeah,
and Paqueta on the pitch, and they were doing all these little triangles?
yeah.
I thought that's what Graham Potter was about.
So why is it not happening with? Is it because of one player, James Ward-Prowse, who slows everything down?
I don't know what's going on, because if that is how you play, why don't you put in people who play that way? Why are you know, it does, some of the things he's doing don't make sense. And the other thing is, we're seeing a lot of stuff, and he ain't. Come on, this against Spurs, right? If I'm not even calling them Spurs, Tottenham, yeah, against Tottenham, yeah. When we were playing them, everybody was around me was saying, "God, they're going to score from a corner in a minute," and then they did score, and it got disallowed.
Yeah.
And they come out second half, there was no change. The manager, all right, maybe it's not the manager, maybe it's the set piece coach. It might be the set piece coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if it's a set piece coach, get out of the club and get a proper set piece coaching. Because at the moment, we are crap at set pieces.
We're awful. We're zonal marking. It's interesting that Potter said, you know, in the first half we defended 9 or 10 corners, so we thought we were doing fine. We were just getting away with it, weren't we? It wasn't that we were defending them well; we were getting away with it.
They all
goal
disallowed,
which I think was a disallowed. It was should have been disallowed.
Every single corner we had, it was Mr. Mannering moments. Yeah. It was like you know, panic. You with me? And then we'd get it away. But it wasn't even that we got it away. We didn't even go nowhere when we got it away. It came straight back. Yeah.
I'm going to now show you the team I think he's going to pick.
You're trying to depress me already.
So just as a reminder, this is what I would do. I would drop Hermanson. I would drop Kilman. I would drop James Ward-Prowse, and I would start a striker. 4 fundamental changes is what I would do. Drop Kilman, drop Hermanson, drop James Ward-Prowse, and start a striker. This is what I think he will do. I think he'll keep Hermanson. He'll keep Kilman. He'll keep James Ward-Prowse. And I'm even dubious as to whether he'll start a striker or not. You know, so I think Igor, from what you've just told me, you know, maybe keeping Kilman there instead of Igor, fair play. Hermanson, I think he'll stick by him. I think he will absolutely 100% stick with James Ward-Prowse and probably bring Magassa on later in the game. But I think of the 4 changes I would like to see, I think the only one he'll do is to play a striker. Go on, rip this team apart, mate.
Ah, shit. It's actually very similar to your team. It's just 2 personnel's different, really, isn't it?
Well, three. Hermanson, Kilman, and Ward-Prowse.
Right. Based on that goalkeeper, I would never in a million years play that goalkeeper against Crystal Palace. As far as I'm aware, Crystal Palace has got some big giant geezer up front. Yeah. As far as I'm aware, Crystal Palace will probably be putting crosses in. Yeah. Right. Crystal Palace will have set pieces for corners. Yeah. Crystal Palace will be running in behind as well. So that goalkeeper, all right, maybe the running in behind, maybe he might be all right for. But if they're going to be putting crosses in, we've seen what's happening. He's not going to improve in crosses, is he?
No.
Like, he's not going to improve. Yeah. And if he's not improving, the goalkeeper, then the 2 people in front of him, they're nervous. So I would just take him out for the nervousness. Maybe he put him in too soon. Maybe he's not fit. I don't know. But I tell you what, if you've got a goalkeeper like that, I would be nervous. Yeah.
He's not instilling confidence in his defense, is he? Because he's flapping, he's indecisive. I don't know what it is. It's really weird because he got such high praise when he was at Leicester, despite the fact that he was, you know, in a team that was really, really poor.
I think I was on the bus I was on the train with you going to, I can't remember what match it was. And I said to you that I think it was Sunderland.
Might
I
have been the
said
first
to
game
you,
of the season, yeah.
it might be Sunderland, and I said to you, he's rubbish on crosses, because it was a known fact that he was rubbish on crosses already. Yeah, good with his feet, apparently, but who's he going to give it to? He's going to give it to Mav, and he's going to give it to Kilman, right? So, let's forget about being good with your feet. Look who you're giving it to. And he gets beaten by a long shot. Yeah, that's the two things I pointed out to you, crosses and long shots. I remember now.
So
On the
what have we
train.
bought him for, mate? We bought him because he's good at it with his feet.
Basically, yes. And that was for the 5 at the back. I think that was to accommodate the 5 at the back. So now we're playing 4 at the back. I would just basically get rid and have him, not in the lineup. He's going to make saves, but he's going to give away any team worth their while is going to target him.
Yeah.
So you're talking about we're only 4 games in. 4 games in, are we? 5 games in, 4 games in, or whatever.
It's our 5th game tomorrow. Yeah, it's
our 5th game. So every coach or manager for the rest of the season are going to be practicing to be on top of the goalkeeper for sure.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Now I'm an advocate. I said this when Areola was under pressure last season. I said the one thing that you don't do with your goalkeeper is when they've made mistakes is you stick with them for the next game so that they can put the wrongs right. But then there comes a point where when those wrongs are not being put right, that's when you go, all right, mate, you've had 2-3 chances. It's time for you to step aside. And that's what I'm expecting with Hermansen. I get why Potter wants to stick with him. He's his man, etc. He brought him into the club and so on. But now that Hermansen has proven that it's not going well, you've got to take him out of that.
You swallow pride, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had the results of I've had the results. Our protests are good or a bad thing. 93% have said good. Only 7% said bad. So that's overwhelming. Sorry, you were going to say, mate. Go on.
No, I was just saying. I was going to ask Tony Hackett to come on. He's been texting me. Stop texting me, Tony. He's been texting me all through this, and he never came on. You hear me?
If he wants to come on, you can send him the link.
You want to come on, right? He's been texting me all through this show, yeah, and he hasn't come on. Stop it.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, you're more than welcome to come and have your chat.
I told him to come on. He didn't get back to me. But at the end of the day, 93 people have said, and the 7% have said bad. Yeah. Why is a protest bad? How can a protest be bad? What is bad about a protest?
If it's done in the right way. If it's done in the right way.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be crazy. You don't have to be mad. You're making a point. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. In this day and age, with the way that the people at the top in government everywhere, clubs, aren't listening to the people below them, I think protest is the only thing that you can do. And even when you protest, they try and make it like it's not what it is. This is a sustained protest. This protest has got to be sustained. I gave you the points.
Ronnie,
go back and watch.
I'm going to ask you a direct question, which a lot of people have said. If we start winning games and start winning games regularly, what happens to the protest? If the protests die down, does that kind of prove the board's theory that when results are going well, you lot won't say anything?
Well, no. It proves that West Ham and the West Ham people are gone. Yeah. It proves that the people who followed West Ham have given up, because winning a couple of matches doesn't solve the problem, because you're in a circle. You're doing the same thing. You're going round. You're carrying on. You might have it now, yeah, but you later on, yeah, it's the same thing. It's going to come back round. Goes around, comes around. You with me? So, at the end of the day, winning a cup. If you're that fickle that you think winning a couple of matches or winning 3 or 4 matches has made any difference to what is going on with our club, then you're blind. You're blind. Even the fact that we're in the London Stadium, right? And we was promised 10 things which Paul brought up, yeah? The 10 things that Paul brought up, none of them have been achieved. Yeah. So if you're saying a couple of wins makes it all right, then you're someone that needs to be, you're someone that likes being trod on. Yeah. Because you're saying, okay, tread on me, tell me lies, give me promises. Oh, it's all right. You're with me. You didn't make none of them. We've won a couple of games. Oh, I'm really happy now.
Yeah.
It's wrong. Yeah. You're not doing yourself any service.
So back to the game, mate. We've only beaten them once in 5 years. Palace are well drilled. They haven't been defeated this season. Palace, they're sitting 9th in the league when we're sitting 18th in the league. Oliver Glasner, do you know what? I never forget Oliver Glasner. When we played against Eintracht Frankfurt in the semi-finals of the Europa League, and he looked like a good coach then. And I remember thinking to myself, decent coach. If he ever comes to the Premier League, he's going to do really well with the club.
Weren't we in for him at one time?
You know what? There was talk about us being in for him. But I don't know how true that was.
I think we went for, I could be wrong, but I think we went for Premiership experience.
That's correct. We absolutely did. And so we missed out on that. But he's a good coach. And he's proven that. They won the FA Cup. I think they won Did they win the Charity Shield? I didn't watch that. They won the Charity Shield.
I think they won the Charity Shield, yeah.
And they're 9th in the league, then unbeaten. What are we hoping for in this game? What are we expecting to get out of this? He plays a 3-4-2-1 system. They play a high line. If we play a team that can exploit that high line, and we've got Somerville. Somerville on one side. Bowen is not the fastest in the world, but he's clever.
Rapid. Bowen is rapid enough, mate.
Yeah,
and he keeps the ball close to his feet when he's running. He can run with a ball.
And if we've got someone like Wilson to annoy their defenders, that opens up the gap, doesn't it? The high line. It opens up for the likes of Somerville and Bowen and Fernandez and Paqueta to exploit, no?
If you're talking that way, then expect to see Guido, right? Ward-Prowse and some other defensive defender, right?
To all sit there and allow the other players to go forward?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, don't say that.
If that's what you're saying, that's what you should expect, because the team that you just put out there is a team that's going to, Fernand's going to carry the ball. Yeah. Paqueta's going to need the ball further forward. And Magassa's going to sit back. Yeah. So if
are you almost saying that maybe James Ward-Prowse plays a role in this team? If we allow the likes of Fernandez, Wilson, Bowen, and Somerville to try and exploit the high line, we have to have 3 players in midfield who, number one, are going to put their foot in, win the ball off their midfield because they're playing a high line, and play a killer ball through. I don't think James Ward-Prowse can play a killer ball these days, actually, funny enough. I've not seen him play one. So no, he's forgotten. He's forgotten how to do a dead ball.
I think Guido might be able to play a killer ball, but it's not a question of him playing a killer ball. He has to get to the ball first, right? So, that's unfortunately he's a bit slow. So, I think he'll probably play very defensive. If you're saying they play a high line and try to get them fast players to, look at against Forest, they were quite pushing up. Well, they didn't know what to do. They used to counter-attacking. We confused them, but they're used to pushing up. And then, if they've got the fast Bowen on one side and the other side, and they can play that ball, there is a chance to exploit that. Yeah.
Okay.
As long as we don't give away corners.
You're almost advocating for James Ward-Prowse to start.
No, I'm not advocating. No, listen, I'm not advocating for him to start. But what I'm saying is, maybe we, the midfield would be a more compact, or it would have to be a more compact midfield to spring that trap.
Yeah, yeah.
Because their midfield is decent. Who they got in midfield? They got Wharton.
Wharton is back. Wharton is back
Yeah.
after injury. They've got the likes of
The blonde guy. What's his name? Who was at Watford? What's his name?
Ismail Assar. I think he's.
What's the blonde guy that was at
injured.
Watford?
I think Sarr is injured.
Yeah.
Who else they got? I've got the list of their players
He
here.
was at
If I
Watford.
can find
What was
it.
his name?
They got Jefferson Lima, who's the pivot in their central midfield. So they got a couple of, and then they got the ginger-haired bloke that I can't remember the name of.
Maybe that's yeah.
But they've got the irony is I've looked at their midfield and I've looked at the players that we've got in midfield, and we should be not only a match for them, we should actually be better than them. But it's not so much the player; it's how you set yourself up. And that's the problem. And the problem has been, I think, for me, is it's not that our players are rubbish. I think Will Hughes, thank you for
Will Hughes. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
ginger hair, blonde, isn't he? Will Hughes?
He's ginger.
He's blonde. He's like,
well, he might be blonde on TV, but I think he's ginger in real life.
He's got white hair, Will Hughes, hasn't he?
It's the way we're set up, because our players. I keep looking at our team. I've been looking at our team for the last couple of years and saying to myself, we've actually got good footballers. We've got good footballers, And what are the weaknesses? Well, we've now been found out. We've now found out that Kilman can't defend, and we found out that Hermanson can't goalkeep, and we don't have a decent striker because they're all crocked. So people are talking about Marshall. I've got Marshall down on my list on the subs bench. I would love Callum Marshall to be on the subs bench and come on. Will he start? No, I don't think he will. But to come on, and one of the things that Potter said in the game in the post-match press conference after Spurs was that he didn't start Wilson because he wanted him to come on as an impact sub. Now, if you think your player can't play 90 minutes, that's fine. Start him. And then when he's a little bit exhausted, then bring on your impact sub, like a young player like Callum Marshall, who's got all the energy in the world to run at their defence.
Maybe they should have put on Callum Marshall in the first place, so he ran down that defence. Because if you look at Callum Marshall, one thing he's got is energy. He just runs. He runs for the whole match, and he closes down defenders, gives them no time. Right? That's what you should have done in the first place, right? Then, when he's knackered out that defence, then you bring on Callum Marshall. Callum Wilson.
Callum Wilson, who can ram a bit like the old-fashioned Antonio, who used to sort of ram like a ram road or whatever you call it. Just battering ram, just batter them because they're already knackered. Yeah.
So
no, Trodge, I've got to be honest, Guehi, I'm saying our defense ain't great. But when I look at our midfield, we are on par, if not better, than their midfield. No, we should be. No. Or am I wrong?
Well, you'd think that our midfield was on par with a lot of teams, but it don't make no difference, does it?
Yeah.
Because if your midfield, if your defense is leaking goals and your goalkeeper's giving away goals, it doesn't matter how good your midfield is, because you're gonna always be chasing the game. And once you start chasing the game, once the problem is with a lot of managers we've had, they're defensive managers, but they're not very good defensively. Which is a problem. So when you've got a manager, he's a defensive manager, like keep it tight, don't let nothing in, try and get them on the break, and then the other team scores, then the other team just sit back and they do to you what you was going to do to them. So you might as well have gone at them in the first place, try and get their goal, then sit back. So it don't make no difference, does it? It don't make no sense. Sorry. You're saying, all right, we're going to sit back for 65 minutes and then we're going to try and get a goal. You might as well go and try and get a goal, get the goal, and then sit back.
Yeah, yeah. But we used to do that under Moyes, mate. We used to get a goal and sit back, or we used to be 0-0 and sit back, and then we always end up losing because we can't hold on for 90 minutes. That's the problem. I want to see a team. Isn't this what this is all about? I want to see a team that goes out there, and even if we lose 5-0, at least we can turn around and go, we had a go. Don't we?
Well, I'm not too sure about losing 5-0 because we've been losing 5-0 and we haven't had a go.
Without having a go.
Yeah. So, you know, we've been very defensive and we've lost 3-0, right, against a team, let's be honest, a championship team, right? Then we've lost 5-1.
They're not a championship team, though, are they? They're doing all right.
Well, let's have a look at the end of the season. Yeah. But and then we've lost. But this is what I hate. And this is why I don't like the manager. Well, I never liked him in the first place, as you know. When he came in, I was very negative. Yeah. But this is why I don't like him. Because why are you telling me that we've just played the world champions? We've just played a team that's in the Premiership we're supposed to be aspiring to give them a good game. We've just played a team, so what if they're Champions League or they're in the Champions League? We just played a team that is in the Premiership that we should be aspiring to give them a game. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah,
I don't
Harry, we might win tomorrow, but winning tomorrow doesn't change the facts.
Yeah. I don't like the fact that Potter's been coming out, because this is shades of Moyes. I don't like the fact that Potter is coming out going, we lost against the World Club champions and we lost against the team who are in the Champions League. That smacks of defeatist before you've even set foot on the pitch. Moyes used to do the same thing. We always used to say, Moyes used to hold up all these greedy six in high regard. Oh, well, it was Liverpool. That's why we lost. Oh, it was Chelsea. That's why we lost. You know, we were trying to compete. How can we compete with the likes of, you know, and it's like, stop it, because that just, you know, we know where we stand. You know, we don't have to, you don't, as a manager, you're not meant to be turning around going, oh yeah. And I think Potter's been doing the same thing, bigging up Chelsea, bigging up Tottenham, you know, and like going, oh, because they're in the Champions League, that's why we lost.
Big deal.
No.
They're in the Champions League because they came below us in the league, right? And they won a cup against another crap team, Man United. Yeah, that's why they're in the Champions League. Don't big them up for that. They're a Premiership team. You're in the Premiership. Beat Premiership teams.
Exactly. It doesn't matter whether they're top, bottom, middle. It makes no odds. Yeah.
Yeah, they're Premiership teams. It's a Premiership.
Yeah.
Compete against everybody. We're West Ham.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Right. We've done an hour and 8 minutes. We've talked a lot about owners. We talked about the demonstration, the protests. We talked a little bit about the game.
A little bit. It'd be a good game. I fancy us winning, to be fair.
You what?
I fancy us winning.
You do? I was going to ask you for your predictions.
Yeah, I fancy us winning 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
You think they're only going to score one goal from a corner?
I think we're going to try and minimize the corners, giving away corners. And if they're playing that one up front, I think Mav can mark the big man. Who plays behind him?
There is a guy. I've got his name written down. The guy that they signed from Villarreal in the summertime will play just behind him. Who took the number 10 shirt? I can't remember his name. Someone.
Okay, yeah. So if we can snuff out the number, if we can snuff out the supply, which is why the midfield is important. If we can snuff out the supply, I think we've got a good chance of winning. And if we can stop corners happening, and if he picks the right defenders, but you got to remember they've got Glasner.
Yeah.
And he will be tactically astute, whereas our manager is not.
Yeah. This is the problem, isn't it?
Has
Potter, let's finish. Give me a score. Look, you gave me a score, 3-1.
3-1, yeah.
I'm going for a a 3-2. We're going to nick it.
Okay.
Let's finish off with, has Potter been found out as a coach?
Has Potter been found out as a coach?
As
Well,
in, not a very good one.
Well, a lot of people realise that he's no coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even we've realised that, because listen, if we're sitting on the side and we're seeing, like what's happening, yeah, then why isn't he seeing what's happening? If he's employed people who are advising our defenders, I saw a program the other day. I think it was either Analytic or Geo. I can't remember which one it was. And he looked at the goals that we'd conceded and the way we was defending, the zonal defending. And, even the set piece coach at Tottenham said to the player, just stand on the back post. You with me? And he showed like the defending for all the matches. And it's definitely, we're defending that way because they've been trained that way. The players have been told to defend that way.
Do that. Yeah.
So when it didn't work the first time and it didn't work the second time, yeah, you would have said, well, we're going to have to adjust this. The next game, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And the next game, you're doing the same thing. So what does that tell you?
I think it tells us that, that we're not doing well in our training, and we've got to change the zonal system. We've got to stop the whole zonal marking thing, because it just doesn't, it doesn't work. And I think zonal marking confuses players, because they're looking at a zone, they're not looking at individual. Whatever happened to the old-fashioned mark your player? When I played football, I was told that's your player, that's the person you mark when they got free kicks, corners, etc., and don't veer away.
It tells me something else. Yeah, it don't tell me zonal marking is not working. It tells me get rid of whoever's coaching these people, because even the simplest thing, as if saying, you're as tall as this guy, stay with him and don't put the midget on him, right? It's simple enough. It's simple. Oi. You, mark him, he's tall. You, mark him, he's small.
Yeah.
You with me? Yeah. From the side. I didn't see, did anyone see anybody shouting at the side? Oh, we had 10 corners, yeah? And they thought, oh, look, there's midgets marking us. We just stick someone on the back post, push the midget out of the way. Souček is a big geezer. Block him off, right? We'll score loads of goals. No one's got to move. We ain't got to do anything. But why was their set piece coach able to see that? And we was able to see. Oh, yeah,
and I dare say probably what happened at half-time against Tottenham last week was, I bet they turned around at half-time and said, continue with the corners, look at what they're doing, someone keep hanging at the back post because you'll get a chance. And they got.
Sarr said that in the interview. Yeah. That's what Sarr said in the interview. He said, the coach said, continue what you're doing, stand on the back post, you get a goal. Yeah? Now our coach said, continue what you're doing.
Continue what you're doing. You're doing really well.
You're doing really well.
On the
zone. 10 corners. Yeah. So the coach didn't say, okay, he didn't spot that there was a problem. Yeah. Whereas their coach spotted that there was a problem, there was an opportunity by just not doing anything.
And they exploited it. it. So what we're looking for tomorrow is we're looking for much better marking. We're looking to try and reduce the number of free kicks and corners. Because the minute those come flying in, I think we're in trouble.
Oh, we're shaking.
It's going to be really, really interesting to see what lineup. Let me just remind people, this is what I would like. And you and I have more or less agreed. You've given me a good reason not to have Igor in there, which is fair play. But otherwise, we wouldn't mind that lineup, would we? That's what we'd like to see.
The way that the youngsters played the other day, right? Yeah, I would start integrating some of them into the team because they were moving the ball. They was able to move the ball.
Here's the thing, though, Ronnie. If you do that, which of these players do you then take away from the senior team? So
it's not about taking away. It's not about taking away. We're not going to none of these players are going to be dropped, except for Igor, possibly, yeah, when he misses the 27th header, yeah, in one match. But none of these players are going to be dropped, yeah. But if anything, if you've got the youngster on the pitch, it's like when we was in the friendlies. You had the youngsters on the pitch. You're putting them on. Two things they've got. Number one, they have energy, yeah. And if you're putting them on, not in the 92nd minute, why would someone make a sub in the 92nd minute? I just don't get that. Yeah, it's pointless. Yeah, you're putting them on to affect the game and say, go out, enjoy yourself, go and see, show us what you can do. They might get sent off, yeah, but they're going to be enthusiastic. Youngsters are enthusiastic. They've got energy, yeah. If our team is lacking energy and is lacking enthusiasm, you should have youngsters on the pitch to put on to install that. And don't try and coach things out of them as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't try and coach things out of them. Let them go out and let them play. Yeah. They're footballers. You with me? Keep in the shape, but go and do what you can do. You with me? We saw, like I said, I mentioned it, Paqueta, Urfi, and Ferron linking up together. Potts, Paqueta, and Ferron linking up together. There was some nice, lovely, intricate play there. I just don't understand it because that's what it's supposed to be, Graham Potter's ethos. And they haven't got nowhere near the lineup. You with me? I bet if we put our team out against MK Dons, they'd turn us over.
Probably. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
So when you say because there's only 11 players on the pitch and 9 players on the bench. So what I've tried to do with my lineup is I've tried to do a mixture of the two. Bringing Kante in, bringing Marshall in, having Potts on the bench, and having Skulls as well. So there's 4 players there who are from the academy, and then you got your new players. Because for me, Igor aside, but possibly, that's about as good as a lineup as you can get. But we know
it's a decent lineup.
Sorry, mate.
It's a decent lineup.
Yeah, but we know this is what's going to happen. We know Kilman will play. We know Ward-Prowse will play. We know that Kante won't be put in the senior. Quite possibly, Marshall won't be on the bench either. Because he'll bring in the likes of Irving, Rodriguez, etc.
They're playing tonight, the under-21, so we can see.
Someone mentioned that earlier, so it's going to be
whoever's picked is going to be nowhere near that bench. Yeah.
Let me see before we go if I can get that, because they are playing tonight, aren't they? You said.
Yeah. So whoever's in that squad isn't going to be nowhere near that bench. We can discount them.
Right. I've got it up here. So what's the lineup? Can we get it? Let me just check to see.
Squad, yeah.
Good evening, welcome, Rush Green. We're on the 29s. Mark Robson side open. Yeah. What's the lineup? If anyone's got the lineup, I'd be very interested. I've got the live match details, but I can't see the lineup. So you're absolutely right. If there are certain players that are going to be omitted from the under-21s, because that under-21s team against MK Dons the other day was bloody strong. Marshall was in it, Potts was in it, Earthy was in it, Kante was in it, and they had a young keeper. They had a young keeper called Fabianski who looked all right as well.
Yeah, they tore up that team. They tore them up.
They did.
Tore them.
All right, we're going to leave it here. You've given us the prediction, which is 3-1. Wow. I'm going to go for a 3-2, and we're going to scrape it. I don't think, I want to say it's going to be a convincing performance. I want it to be convincing. I think we'll play convincingly for half a game, but players have got to remember that it's a 90-minute game and not just 45 minutes.
I think we're going to do a quick fire. I think we're going to do a quick fire and score. Same as we did Nottingham Forest, but I think we're going to do it earlier. And then Palace are going to come back in the game because we're going to sit back, and then that's when they're going to get their one.
Well, let's hope it's only one and not more than that.
Well, Okasan's was in goal.
Well, I know Hermanson's going to be in goal as well. But there you go. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. As always is. Someone
Thank
has
you.
suggested that we should do this regularly. And, when you're available, damn well, we do the Friday night things. This has come a bit early today because I was meant to be going out whilst the sun's still shining. And I don't know where the missus is. She's probably pissed off now.
You're in trouble.
I might be. Really much appreciated, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. And I know you were busy and you were back. But it's been a pleasure, as it always is.
See you all tomorrow on the demonstration.
Nice one, mate.
Be there. Hold on, you didn't let me give her the time.
Oh, yeah. Go on then.
Hold on. Let's have a quick look. I did have it up. I've got 2 things there. You said there's 2 demonstrations.
Well, there's Crossed Hammers and there's Hammers United.
All right. So I don't know which one this is, but I've got one here which says meet at the Hold on, this is from Bubbles, isn't it? So let's have a look, see what it says here. So one says meet at the stadium entrance B. So I don't know who that is at 12:45.
That's what the ultimate target is, isn't it? So the marches will start before in order to be at the stadium at that entrance at 12:45. Yeah.
Really, this one says we will line the route along Marshgate Lane from Pudding Mill Lane Station to the director's entrance to the London Stadium. Yeah. So that's really where you have to get to there. If you can get to there probably around 12:15, I should imagine, be a good time. If you can drag yourself out of the pubs. Yeah. And Marshgate Lane, I think, is the place from 12:30. Just be all along there to get as many as you can. So when they're driving down, they look out and they think, oh, they see it. Because even if they're putting out this thing and they see that it ain't stopping, and even if we win at Crystal Palace, the Brentford game, boycott it. Really have to, because it's no use saying, all right, we're winning a couple of games. It's not going to change until they step down. There are chances. Oh, sorry, I know you want to get away, but there are chances. They almost won me over once because we were playing. We had a January transfer window. We was in the Europa Cup, right? We had a team there. I'm sure that Moyes put himself under the bus for them. Yeah. All we needed was to strengthen the team. We would have won the Europa Cup that year.
We would have done. I remember it.
We would have won the Europa Cup that year. Yeah. All we had to do was strengthen in January because our players were knackered. They were absolutely knackered.
Well, I remember Moyes being interviewed, and I remember Moyes saying distinctly, I don't need anything. I'm all right with the team.
Yeah, but now...
I remember that. I remember that.
Because I know that the way that they work, I'm not too sure if Moyes just put himself in the frame to stop. Yeah? Because, Sullivan, if Sullivan wants to buy someone and strengthen the team, he don't care who the manager is. You know that.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So Moyes saying that, it doesn't matter. We didn't even get no one. We needed a couple of players.
That's all we needed. Even one player is all we needed.
One player. I put down 2 or 3. Yeah, but one would have been good. Yeah.
Just to give it that. Yeah. I remember that, mate. I remember. And then we went.
If they'd done that, I'll be wearing a shirt saying Sullivan is God. Yeah, right. They'd done that window because we would have won the European Championship.
We would have been the champion. Imagine Champions
League, yeah. And they've done it twice. They've done it the season before. They've done the same thing, or the season after. They've done exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I remember.
So, guys, protest is good.
Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Really appreciated. I'll speak to you probably later on or tomorrow at some point.
All right, take care. Take care, everyone.
Cheers, mate. Thank you all very much for watching an early show. I hope you enjoyed it. But really, really much appreciated. There'll be obviously, as things progress tomorrow, I'm sure I'll be bringing you little snippets of what's going on and so on and so forth. So do look out for that. In the meantime, have a good rest of Friday evening. Let's look forward to a win tomorrow. If you're going to the march, do it peacefully. That's the important thing. That's the one big emphasis that Paul Coburn has said. It's got to be peaceful, and it will be, because we're not going out there to fight or anything like that. So enjoy the game, and look forward to whoever's going to the demonstrations. Take care. And I'll see you all very, very soon.